Dude.
So many very specific memories of shooting
Yeah. So welcome
that
to
episode.
episode 216, Chicago.
216. Chicago with Matt DeCaro.
Chicago with Matt DeCaro.
Trains,
Um,
trains, and automobile. There's no planes.
Trains.
Oh, there's a helicopter.
There's a helicopter.
There's one helicopter.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
as I was saying at the beginning of the watch party, there are a few episodes that stand out, a few scenes really that stand out. When I think, oh, Prison Break, like you do that many episodes, certain things come to the fore for whatever reason. There was a couple in season 1. For season 2, it's the torture scene and then you strangling me. Also the scene when
It's you trying to kill me and then me trying to kill you.
And then the scene when I'm up against the wall watching you guys, and then you us saying hello again, and Michael strangling. A lot of strangling.
A lot of people trying to wring your neck.
Yeah, a lot of people trying to wring my neck. And so I remember all these things. It must be so different for you to remember them because you were pregnant.
I was so sick.
How pregnant were you?
I mean, not enough, less than 10 weeks, because
But you knew you were pregnant.
The crew, I knew I was pregnant. It was probably about 8 weeks. I had such terrible morning sickness. And I would go back and forth between being ravenous and then throwing up the way often happens. And so I think, if I'm remembering correctly, in the course of shooting the scene in the train car, all those scenes, not the bathroom stuff, not the stuff in the engine room, but the train car, I think I went through 4 grilled cheese sandwiches.
And then threw them up?
Yeah. I'd be like, oh my God, if I don't eat something right now, I'd be okay. And of course, craft service, my concern was craft service thought
It was bulimic.
I think they thought I had an eating disorder. Because when I had to leave, I'd be like, I got to get off this train right now. And I don't remember, I know Wentworth knew. I don't think Jesse Bochco knew. I don't think our producer,
Stunt people? You didn't
Kevin
tell
Hooks.
Eric Norris, maybe?
I really honestly don't remember.
I remember definitely not knowing. So we'll talk about that later. But no, we won't. I'm kidding. I don't care that I don't know.
Well,
Just could keep you safe. But I also remember, I don't remember who the stunt person was, but I remember must have been Eric. But I remember choreographing you strangling me.
Yeah.
And I remember part of them allowing us to do it in terms of like safety and stuff, because I was like, don't you want our faces? Like, I remember that discussion. Was that
Right.
What I was worried about was struggling was hurting you.
Yeah.
And I very specifically remember you saying, but the seat is between us.
Seats between us.
And you saying, oh, I can judge my distance from the seat, that you can really bang against it and I'll be fine.
Yeah, I really wanted you to be able to go wild.
Yeah, which I did. Choking is interesting, the other scene in particular when Michael's choking me, because, if you're being choked, you can't talk.
Definitively. And you kind of immediately go purple. Like,
right.
It's pretty quick.
So saying, and also choking, much like throwing up, are one of those things on camera that there's certain things that people do that I don't feel are real.
Yeah.
But you fall into
There's
those traps.
There's like conventions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but also
people
partly I think it's because the real version is so.
But I think faking it makes you do certain, like people that puke on camera then cough. Like, do you cough after you vomit? I don't.
No, I spit because I want to get the taste out of it.
Right. And after getting choked, you cough on camera, which I did do. I noticed in one scene, but I remember I had to figure out how to talk with like, you need me.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but like
without sounding like you represent the lollipop guild.
Right. Also, I hate shit around my neck. Like, I don't, like, sometimes I can't button a shirt and wear a tie because it's just like,
really, that's just you.
It's just sometimes, like, it's weird. I go through phases for years where it doesn't bother me and then suddenly it bothers me. But like, I remember it being really hard to let them do that.
Huh.
But Wentworth was great about it, obviously, and Yeah.
Always. Well, that's also the challenge when you're choking someone.
Harder than being choked for sure.
90% of your attention is how do I put the tension into my hand without hurting them at all? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, much easier on stage.
Yeah. Because as soon as you see the close up of someone's hand,
Right.
if it's just doing this, you're like, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I don't buy it at all. Okay, should we do our index to just kind of
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you about choking too, but we'll get there.
get there? This is for people who don't know what we're doing. This is not the S&M episode. This is all germane to the plot of episode 216, which is called Chicago and shot in Dallas.
And features lots of choking.
And features lots of choking. A shocking amount of violence. And actually, I'll be honest, some light bondage, although not the way you think. It's just Teabag and Mrs. Hollander being...
Also, you choking me could be, I guess, considered light bondage.
Moving on. Okay, so Calistine Index, because, again, this was 19 years ago and the world was a different place. So, episode 216 was called Chicago, which, of course, shot in Dallas. It aired on the 5th of February.
Wait, what do you mean? Because the world was a different... What?
The world was a different place 19 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing the Calistine Index. To remind people
I'm sorry.
Of what was different.
Yes, of course. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Misunderstood. Okay.
Okay, so aired February 5th, 2007. It was directed by Jesse Bochco. He was a first-time director on the show. He would do one more episode in season 4. He was also the son of legendary writer-producer Stephen Bochco, who created one of Paul's favorite shows, Hill Street Blues.
Yes, he did.
And also one of my favorite shows, NYPD Blue.
Yes.
Total legend. And Jesse directed this episode like a boss. This is a gnarly one. If I had gotten this script,
he may have been our youngest director too, because he was like our age.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Probably between us. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, him and Guy Ferland. Would probably
Guy was young too. Yeah.
They're kind of on the coming up side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, co-written by Matt Olmstead and Nick Santora, two of our standby gangsters. Episode audience grew to 10.1 million live viewers. So it's been going up every episode since they came back from the mid-season, which was great. This is the first time we were in double digits. And just to recap, since it's been a while, competition in the 8 p.m. time slot was Wife Swap on ABC, Deal or No Deal on NBC, How I Met Your Mother on CBS, collectively known as How I Met Your Wife and Made a Deal.
That's also called Indecent Proposal.
Bravo. Which is less exciting than the spinoff we talked about on the rewatch, Brad Bellick Bounty Hunter. Which I would watch.
I'm still developing. I think it's
all day.
Great.
Yeah.
Great potential. Here's our recap. Michael Lincoln and Kellerman unite with Sarah, who tells Michael what Kellerman did to her, which does not go well. But Kellerman regains his position by revealing that he knows what Dr. Sarah's key is for. The four compadres board a train to Chicago, where Sarah tries to kill Kellerman, which also does not go well. Elsewhere, Mrs. Hollander has a guest, which further does not go well, so Teabag decides to move their creepy wannabe family outside the city. In another spin-off called The Hollanders. Meanwhile, C-Note and his daughter eat in a diner, which does not go well when they are attacked by a mentally unstable robber. But when C-Note successfully resolves the situation, others help him and Dee Dee escape the police. Back at Fox River, Mahone tries to convince the new warden to transfer Bellick to ADSEG, and that does not go well, so he offers Bellick freedom in exchange for doing his dirty work, which goes well. Bellick finds Haywire, chases him to the top of a tower, treeing him, as Bellick says, except that doesn't go well for Haywire when Mahone arrives and Haywire ends up dead.
Okay. History-wise, in That Settled Once and For All news on February 2nd, Groundhog Day, scientists at the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change confirmed that global warming was real with their 3-year study, saying it's very likely caused by human activity. That was news at the time. The report also said that the rise in temperatures and rising seas could be curtailed with quick action. Update, it's been 19 years. And we'll just leave it there. Please reduce, reuse, recycle. I'm told that'll fix everything. In controversial blonde news, Anna Nicole Smith passed away on February 8th of a drug overdose. I remember her being all over the news for so long.
Ubiquitous. All over everything for so long.
Ubiquitous. Yeah, she was. This is because she was 27 years old when she married an 86-year-old petroleum tycoon, resulting in many nasty court cases over that tycoon's inheritance when he died 2 years later and left her, I believe, like everything.
Everything.
And his son was like, hang on.
Right. His son, who is 40 years older than she. And in historic football news, the Indianapolis Colts defeated the Chicago Bears to win Super Bowl 41. That Super Bowl was historic because it was the first one ever coached by two African-American head coaches, with Tony Dungy defeating Lovie Smith. We'll be right back to talk about the episode.
Whoop, whoop. Okay.
Welcome back.
We're back.
Okay.
So much to talk about. I have so many notes.
Can I, let me, we were, before we were so rudely interrupted by having to do the Calistine Index.
That we do voluntarily because we think it's cool.
Right. What do you remember about, we were talking about how it's hard to choke somebody with your hands because you obviously don't want to exert too much force, but you also got to fake it. What do you remember about pulling the thing on my neck? I remember saying, you're not going to hurt me. Like,
I remember really being concerned about hurting you.
Yeah. I don't know if you could kill somebody with a
garrote.
A
It was
garrote.
the first time I'd ever seen that word.
Garrote. But I think you can. But
garrote.
with the thing from a sweatshirt, it's so soft. I don't know. Maybe.
I think you'd have to get it around their head, right? Like pulling up like that, you could probably hurt somebody, but I think you'd probably have to like get the pieces all the way around. I'm not sure. I do know that it was important to me that like, cause I feel like we landed on if you get your fingers in it,
that it will.
then you're controlling it, but your hand was kind of.
That may be right. That may be right.
It feels like, I mean, look, what I like about it is that we shot it so that both of our faces were on camera at the same time. And
I remember that being the discussion about, no, you felt safe because the chair was between us. I felt safe because maybe my fingers. And I remember it was one of those great no acting required things. Like somebody wraps some shit around your neck and starts pulling. It's like you respond.
Yeah, your body does a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, you don't have to fake it.
I do remember like doing more face acting than I probably would have otherwise to compensate for the fact that I wasn't really I just remember at the time being like, because I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that tension goes somewhere in your body. The most relevant part of it, I'll be honest, was when Wentworth had to pull me off of you. I remember he and I talking about, he was like, how do I do this without hurting you because you're pregnant? And that was a private conversation that we'd had. And the solution we came with is, as long as your arms are around my ribs, you're fine. Oof. But that's not, I mean.
I know, but.
So if you can actually tell he's holding me quite high. He's like right under my boobs on top of my ribs and pulling back. And I'm very much in control of, because I wanted that moment of like kicking, thrashing.
Yeah.
A moment I think is important is us being broken up by Michael and Lincoln and trying like all hell to get back to each other.
I remember, I feel like Kellerman coming back after you. Mm-hmm. I don't remember. I think it probably was in the script. I don't remember. I just remember Dominic being like, yeah, try to get through me. It's going to be fine. I was like, okay.
I'm not at all worried about trying to stop you.
I'm not worried.
Yeah. Don't hurt yourself on my biceps. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit on the rewatch, but one of the things that I love is that there is a minute where Lincoln is the adult in the room. And that happens so rarely.
Go to the other side of the
But again, it's one of those things that, say what?
Where he's like, you guys separate?
Yeah, like you go that way, you go that way. And again, it feels like, oh, he's done this. He's broken fights up. He's been the guy in juvie who's like, no. I can actually.
Which is similar to Haywire. Similar to how Haywire is in. Sorry, not Haywire. How C-Note is in the diner.
Yeah.
Like, how do I de-escalate this situation?
Mm-hmm. You learn something about who they have been by their current actions, and I think that's really.
You mentioned at the scene when we're reunited and Michael goes after Kellerman, you said, "Oh, this is a hard thing for him to play." When someone's asking you to do another thing, what did you mean by that?
Okay. So, what the ask of him is in that moment. Or are you frozen?
Nope.
Okay. I couldn't tell.
What about just like this?
This is just my resting face. Okay. So the ask of him in that moment is you just found out off camera, which I think is very smart, that this person you care so much about was genuinely tortured.
And left to die.
And left to die by the person who you have chosen to trust, unbeknownst to you. You've got all those emotions. You would have said something to your brother like, let's get him around the corner and fucking kill him or whatever. You know what I mean? But like they come around the corner and it's pretty clear that at least Michael is looking for some kind of logical or illogical revenge.
Is Dominic trying to stop? Is Lincoln trying to stop him? I actually don't remember.
It almost feels well. Okay, so I think no, not initially, until Kellerman goes, "I know what that key is for. You need me."
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think Lincoln's journey is, yeah, fuck it. I've been wanting to kill this guy for a long time, like pretty much since we met. His instincts have been screaming, don't trust, don't trust, don't trust. And then Kellerman turns out to have a piece of information that's important. And I like that they know we're not going to torture it out of him. We're not going to, he's not going to tell us until we're there. So on the one hand, Michael has this powerful drive for revenge and to exert some control at a time when he's totally out of control. And then he has the competing need to get what he needs from Kellerman. And so it's you hurt my girlfriend, I want to hurt you. You have a piece of information that might help my brother. It's a tough thing to play. The moment of choosing to stand down.
Oh my God.
And it happens all the time in TV.
Yeah.
Lead character, impossible decision.
Lead character. Yeah. And personal emotions, feeling versus a practical a thing they have to do. And those two things being in, I guess that's.
But it's really hard. And it's often, I find them very challenging to play. Mm-hmm. I find if I'm shooting one of those scenes, the actors are always like edgy about it because it's like, this doesn't feel, and I think the thing I really respected in the choices that the writers made for that whole sequence, from Sarah getting off the train to them deciding not to kill Kellerman, yet, nothing personal, is the economy of language, right? Like, we don't need to see the scene where Sarah says, this is what happened to me, because we saw it happen to her, and we don't want the audience to get ahead of us. And Sarah and Michael reunite. This time, not, I'm getting out of a car, what the fuck, your plan is what? There's no plan. But I'm all in, whatever the plan is.
I'm here because I'm all in.
I'm here.
Also,
and it's all wordless, and I love that.
The scene when you greet each other and then the thing with the hair, I wonder if there was a line there or if there wasn't anything acknowledging it, but he touches your hair and you're like, oh yeah, well, it's so charming and there's something so boy girl about it. There's something so like, I cut my hair and you didn't say anything. Like it's like, and he does say something. You know, it's like a little. It's very boyfriend girlfriend.
I'm trying to remember. Now that you mentioned, there were words there, and it was some
Like, it's like
version of like
we don't need to say it.
your hair's different, and it was like, yeah, I needed to change. Like, and there's also an intimacy because they so rarely touch.
Right.
For him to touch her hair,
Yeah, I agree. It's a really charming moment.
I love that. I love the number of lines Wentworth just takes out because he's like, "You'll get it on my face. It'll be there."
I have
like,
to
trust me.
think that in the bathroom scene, which can we talk about? Are we ready to talk about the bathroom scene? Are we up to it?
We're up to it.
First of all, we were talking in the rewatch about how well that is shot because that bathroom was small.
So
This is
small.
a train bathroom, and you don't want them on top of each other at the beginning of the scene. You need somewhere to go in the middle of that scene. So what they did was you're sitting on the sink, he's standing across from you, but they're shooting him in the mirror. But you're also facing each other. It looks like you're 10 feet apart when you're probably 2 feet apart.
And you get both people's faces, even though
Yeah, I don't know how they did it.
we're
but
facing each other.
Really good. And then the way you guys play it, it's really beautiful. And the
Thanks.
amount of time you take with it is great. And then you saying that you fell in love with him is great. But also, and I don't know if you asked for this or anything, the kind of recap of where you are. Like 3 weeks ago, I was a doctor. And here I am now, but also I'm in love with you.
It's also, we do it rarely in the show, which is talk about how long in real time it's been.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like 3 weeks ago I was a doctor, but that was 16 episodes ago.
Right. A year and a
Which
half
is-
in real time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been so long.
Also, the expression on his face when he's before you even say falling in love with you, of like, this is what's happened to me since I met you. It's really an amazing piece of work on his part, listening to you do your amazing work, which is he's just taking it in. He has a look on his face we have not seen in the show before, which is this kind of love. I mean, it's a look of love.
Interesting.
But it's also, there's sympathy in it, there's care in it, and it's a softness we have not seen on his face. It's really lovely. You guys, your guys' chemistry is really palpable. It really works.
Well, first of all, so flowers to Wentworth for 2 reasons. Number one, he was willing to kiss a girl who'd been barfing all day. I brushed my teeth. I had all the gum and all the mints and whatever, but it's like when you know that your friend has been running to the bathroom to throw up sandwiches all day, and you're like, now I get to kiss her.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is I think there was a little bit of a meta thing going on in that he was very protective of me in those weeks.
Sure.
Where he knew that I was pregnant and that I was aware that that the pregnancy might not stick.
Oh, gosh.
And that I was afraid to tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But that I needed one person on set to know, and he was my good friend.
Mm-hmm.
And so that care, which is not to say that like he's an amazing actor. Of course, if all of that was absent, but like even the place I noticed it is when we first sat down on the train, and he's like, "You okay?" There was a part of me that was like, he kept doing that all day. He's like, "You all right?" You know, and be like, "Yeah, I'm, growing a human, thrown up," and that that mutual care, not to mention in some ways that list of like, here are the things that have happened since I met you. You got super famous. You hate it. You feel exposed. You know what I mean? Like, we're kind of on this ride together. I think those things sort of add up.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how broken they are. I love that, like, for all of the things that they feel for each other, First of all, I'm sure that the first thing they tell you when you go to work at a prison is not don't fall in love with the
inmates.
I'm sure. And in some ways, I think it's funny that Sarah almost concocts that because that's the closest you know what I mean? Like page 1 of so you're working at a prison.
Don't fall in love with the inmates.
It's not don't fall in love with the inmates.
I'll bet there is that I'll bet they do say, I mean, they may put it in more blunt terms.
Yeah.
But fraternizing, if you will.
Yeah. Anyway, fun stuff to shoot. And I will say we didn't fight them on it. For all the other times that we've been like, no, not kissing, no, not doing this. We're like, no, yeah, now feels right.
Also, it's feels right. It's under duress. Under duress may be the wrong word, but you know what I mean. It's
under duress is the subtitle of the entire show.
It's a snuck, it's a snuck moment.
Yeah.
And it's of course rudely interrupted.
Rudely interrupted
by the state police or whomever.
By the state police, who we ran off the actual road. I mean, obviously we weren't there for that part of the scene when they ran an actual train into 4 actual cars, and clearly there's a camera at track level for that shot.
Yeah, it goes over it. It goes over it. How do you do that? You dig you dig a trench. No, this is before GoPro. You dig a trench, I think, is what you do.
You'd have to, yeah. I mean, they cut out of it pretty quickly, so we may have lost a camera.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You call Panavision and you're like, hey, do you have a camera that you don't need back anytime soon? We're going to run a train over it. The production value on that, like the shot of you and Dom leaning out the moving train is so beautiful. The train hitting those cars and the stuntmen.
There's also an amazing shot where they must have been in a car with a crane, or maybe it was, I don't know. Yeah.
Could have been a Techno.
Camera cars.
Yeah.
They're running alongside through the trees watching the train.
Yeah.
And then there's the roof stuff, which must have been shot with a helicopter. Could have been shot with a car, I guess, with a really high crane. But that seems...
But it goes on so long. I mean, what's interesting is we had a helicopter that day because the helicopter's in the show. I wondered if they rented the helicopter for the day and we're like, okay, so half the day it's going to be shooting and the other half the day it's going to be filmed.
And the helicopter was like, look, you guys, I want to do all my on-camera stuff in the morning. I'm going to be really wiped out. So I'm talking about the helicopter's demands.
And I need green M&Ms.
And green M&Ms. And in the afternoon, I can do some shooting for you. But really, I got to get my sleep. And
I need eye patches.
Right. I need eye patches because I look really fat floating under 100 feet. Oh, I have a question. You say in the bathroom scene, I'm not using, which is a miracle. Mm-hmm. That feels like something you would have asked to be added. Do you remember? Because you seem to be the one... that writers were tracking so many different things. You seem to be one tracking that journey for Sarah, and which is I don't even remember if you said or Sarah says, and it's a miracle. I mean, like if you haven't used in the last 3 weeks, like how many tests? My God.
Mm-hmm. Especially after overdosing, like it's barely out of your system.
Oof.
I honestly don't remember that, but I think you're right that I felt like if being in recovery is going to be a part of a character, it's got to be a part of a character. It can't just be like, we need her in a scene where
it's not just a backstory.
Bellick hits on her and where
right.
the next season, Lance can meet her there.
Right. Well, but you made it or they made it. Also kind of part and parcel why she ends up working in a prison. I mean, it's all part of the same journey. For sure.
But, Wentworth tracked things like that too. And, he added that line somewhere, I think in season 1. Or no, maybe it's later where he says something about like this coming from a 3-toed guy on the run or something. Like he was the one who every now and again would be like, don't forget, guys. You cut out, or an 8-toed guy. He's like, don't forget, Abruzzi cut off 2 of my fucking toes. So I can't stand on one foot on that, like you're just tracking the things for our characters that happen to
Because
us.
some things you have to let go, and some things become very, very germane, as you would say.
Right. You mentioned something about Rockman and Justice. As
You
we
said
were
the
talking
Justice thing.
about those scenes.
I was
Sorry,
wondering,
Rockman
so here's a scene that does not serve the overall plot at all. Like zero. Like that whole storyline, which you could call the B story, really. Or maybe you call Haywire the B story. I don't know. And Teabag, and I mean, maybe they're all equal B stories. But the C Note story is 5 scenes, right? It's not.
Yeah, it's substantial.
Yeah, it's substantial. So why? Like, what is it? It's these kind of detours. It shows. It's great drama. Like, you think, how is he going to evade the authorities? And his daughter is sick, and there's an urgency there. And it also, we've already established that he's such a devoted father and husband. So I just wonder, like your director brain or your writer brain, what do you say?
Well, one thing I would say, and this is just in the very beginning, you could do this in 2 scenes, but we start to see like Dee Dee's getting sicker.
Yeah, right.
And so she's going to need it. So if the question is, how are they all going to get out of this with every one of our convicts? You've got that like, C-Note's going to have to do something besides just stay on the run because his daughter needs medical attention.
Sure, but that could have been done
you don't need the whole.
No.
I mean, you're reinforcing the fact that he's a good man.
Yeah, and
we already knew that, but
just in the way that we're also like, for instance, the Hollander teabag thing, it escalates that situation because it shoots them out on the road. Now he's on the road with these 3 hostages. Yeah. You did say something interesting thematically about like this idea of justice. The real turn that I thought made it so interesting and touching is that those people don't turn him in, right? They know he's a fugitive, but they've seen him do these save their asses basically, and they help him escape. And there's something about that gets to this idea of, who's guilty, what's justice, what does it mean to face consequences, etc.
Especially counterpointed with Bellick and Mahone, who are the arms of justice.
Right, who are, and they're doing all
behaving in ways that like...
Right, extrajudicial stuff.
Right. Mahone clearly at the end of this episode just hates himself.
Yeah, and I love that he doesn't want to do this, and he pushes back against Kim and loses.
Well, and part of what's happening, which is interesting, is the show is now running very low on real villains. We have Teabag, obviously.
Kellerman's on the fence.
Kellerman's on the fence. I do love the reveal that it's not Caroline on the other end of the phone. I think that's one that I remember reading it going, oh, I did not see that coming.
Right. And I think that there's an interesting, they're subtle in a way, but when Kellerman takes the call, the end of the teaser is them saying, I know where the thing is. She says to him on the phone, Caroline says to him, I'm in Chicago, come meet me. And then he says to the trio, I know what that key does.
It's in Chicago.
It's in Chicago. And so the audience is like, oh, is he lying? Is he taking them?
Right.
Is he taking them in?
And
he's actually he's doing both.
In your opinion, if when you had gotten on the phone with her the second time, where did we have my 35th birthday? And she knew the answer to that and said everything can be the way it was. Is Kellerman going, okay, fuck it, here are the boys?
I still think I think he's smart enough to be playing all the angles. I still think he wants to know what Governor Tancredi gave his daughter about this conspiracy that's in that box. So I still think he goes either with them or without them to see what's in there and what it does before he would turn them over, because he has this ultimate bargaining chip, right? Like, it's so interesting that he never says to her, she keeps saying, "Are they with you?" And he keeps saying, "Don't worry about it."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you think there is a world at this point where if it had really been her and she had really said, "Come back into the fold, I'm sorry, I'll make it right," where he would have said, "Okay, I've got Burroughs, I've got Schofield, I've got the tape. Let's go back to where we were with this 6 months ago. I want to be the new Leo McGarry."
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong. It's just I'm curious about whether your head is like, nope, he's lost all trust. Fool me once.
No, I think he wants. I mean, he's not. It's interesting. He has yet to blame her. Right.
Right.
He's blamed Kim.
He's blamed Kim.
Maybe the company.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a very pragmatic political brain, which has justified a lot of his behaviors. He understands that she's playing at a higher level now, and that he maybe had to be a sacrificial pawn.
And maybe she's not aware.
Of the different things. So if he can come back in there with this huge piece of valuable, whatever you want to call it, collateral. And they could be right back to, because I think he does believe in what she's trying to do for the country. So I think that, he wants to be back in her good graces.
Thanks for that. That's really interesting. I also wrote down,
but extremely cautiously.
Sure. Well, I mean, in some ways, there's an interesting parallel between Mahone and Bellick and Kellerman and Reynolds, which is, I'm saying I can give you something you want, but I need something in return. And Bellick is like, give me the badge, sign me up, and Kellerman's like, don't treat me. I feel like the thing that pisses Kellerman off the most is like, don't treat me like I'm stupid.
Don't treat me like I'm stupid.
Don't treat me like I'm stupid.
I do remember being there for the haywire jump.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it was because they were probably, like Eric Norris said when we interviewed him, practicing it for so many days. Like we were out in that area where haywire was on the run, and they must have worked on that shit and scouted it for days, because that was a big jump.
And they shot the ever living daylight. Like, I didn't realize how many shots.
Above and below.
Yep, above and below, and that's at least 2 takes of it, because you can't shoot above and below at the same time.
Not then you couldn't. Right.
They do it at least twice.
And then they had to build a scaffolding, I would imagine, because it wasn't just going to be a cherry picker, because Silas jumps off the thing over camera. So, they obviously have to catch him, but that thing was 100 feet in the air. So they had to build something for him to jump onto safely.
Yeah. Ugh. Also, just a moment for the performance. Like, it's
beautiful. And
your
Bill
heart
and
just breaks.
Fichtner's great in it.
Yeah. They're both fantastic, because you see how much it costs Mahone to... This piece of collateral damage hurts him. Do you know what I mean? He's like, this is a person who's mentally ill.
It seems like he's like, I've gone way over the line now. Like, I'm
gone way over the line.
Yeah.
Also, for what it's worth, I think, and this is just honest, to sort of circle back a little bit to your question about Rockband and his whole arc. Just from a practical perspective, you're on episode 16 of 22. You haven't seen the Franklin family in a little bit. We've been following a little bit more Sucre. I don't think there's an episode in this entire season, except maybe the first. Maybe the first, and I don't even know if that one, where you have the entire cast, right? Like, one way to save money so that you can have a helicopter and a train.
Depending on what the contracts are, there may have been all shows produced. But right, go on.
No, they weren't.
Really, nobody.
They weren't. I mean, I believe Wentworth and Dominic were the only ones with that.
Oh, really?
And so season 1, I was in, I think, every episode, maybe save one. But season 2, the rest of us were fractional.
I
and so
certainly was, yeah.
This time, there wasn't.
Yeah.
There'd be an episode without Sucre, which saves his fee. There'd be an episode without, and so that's one of the sort of behind the scenes things. But also, it's episode 16. We want to see what's up with C-Note because we love him and his family's amazing.
There's a lot of people.
But also, they've got to fill some story between now and episode 22 when the season ends.
Yes. Right.
But what's impressive is it doesn't feel like filler.
Gosh,
Do you know what I mean?
It really doesn't.
It feels like a really interesting moral universe where we remind ourselves that sometimes the bad guys are not. Let me put this a different way. Sometimes, oh God, what's that? Ani DeFranco has a great lyric. Sometimes you've got to try to understand the grandness of the man behind the petty crimes and let him off easy sometimes.
Ooh.
And obviously they're not petty crimes.
Well, I mean, C-Note's breaking out is his big crime.
That's true.
I mean, he's totally imprisoned unjustly.
That's right.
Right?
That's
he
right.
was a smuggler, but
with the wink and the nod of his CO, and then he got turned in for doing the right thing.
Oh, that's right.
Which is
so he's really our kind of purest, right? Innocent in a way.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
All right, should we wrap it up?
We should wrap
Let's
this
take one more.
episode up.
Let's take one more. Let's take one more break
Ooh.
and come right back with not fan questions. We have a special thing instead of fan questions.
We have a special fan thing. All right.
Let's take a break.
And we're back.
Hi.
Okay, so in lieu of fan questions this week, one of you guys sent us a beautiful email that we wanted to read. I'm redacting his last name because he's a minor, but his name is Alex O from Australia. He emailed us this. Paul, do you want to read it?
Dear Sarah Wayne Callies and Paul Edelstein, my name is Alex and I'm 12 years old. I recently discovered Prison Break on Netflix, and since then I have been obsessed. I've watched it 4 times and fall asleep to the podcast every night. That's so sweet.
He hears our voices and he's like,
I'm from Australia, and I've gotten my grandpa, mom, and many friends hooked on the show. I am turning 13 soon, and the best birthday gift would be if you could read my email on the podcast. Everyone involved with the show and podcast is amazingly talented. You guys are incredible. Big orange heart from Alex.
Happy birthday, Alex.
Happy birthday, Alex. Thank you so much for writing us. Thank you for watching
Paul,
the show and listening to the podcast.
Hang on.
What?
Hang on.
Yes?
Because you're good at this kind of thing, would you now read it with an Australian accent?
No, I have a terrible Australian accent.
Damn. Can you do your best Dominic?
Nay. Nar.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Alex.
You're so sweet. We love you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and happy birthday. And thanks to everyone for listening. As always, check out our watch party episodes. You can watch a show in real time with us. Join the watch parties on the Patreon link. That link is on the show page wherever you're listening right now, or on the link at Prison Break Podcast on Instagram in our bio.
Also, our merch is available
at
the same places. And for those of you who want to listen or watch in a language other than English, or just want to see the video of us talking, dueling hats with patches, we're on YouTube at Prison Break Podcast. Thank you. And please be excellent to each other. Times are tough. Hold each other close. Be kind.
Agreed.
Oh, and Paul, you know what?
What?
Prison Breaking with Sarah and Paul is a Caliber Studio production.
Your hosts have been inmates Sarah Wayne Callies and Paul Edelstein.
Our prison warden is producer Ben Haber.
Cutting us up in the yard is editor Luke Singer.
The front man of our jailhouse rock band is still Paul Edelstein, who still made all of our music.
Every week, grinding it out.
Every week.
Our prison yard tattoo artist logo brand designer is John Nunziato at Little Big Brands. Check them out, www.littlebigBrands.com.
Prison Breaking with Sarah and Paul has been a Caliber Studio production. Thank you for listening.
Thanks
and
for
Alex,
listening.
happy birthday again if you've managed to stay awake this long.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.